Okay. My God, after so many of follow-ups, finally.
And yeah, actually the thing is that we've been doing some different things. We've been traveling. We've been writing graphic novels, so we've been traveling a lot.
Okay.
And we are restructuring the team, and then it was a quite busy month. I would say maybe 2 months. But I remember the first mail was, I think, in May, right? And that time it was sort of chaotic because of the second wave. So
Yes, yes,
decided
yes,
to focus on the team, and then in fact there was actually 50% of the team was not available, so we were like
yes, yes,
everything was
yes.
done by me, Shreya, and Kanisk. So yeah, I mean, yeah, finally we uh,
Finally, yes, yes. So how big is your team, Anuj? I mean, or it's like,
we are now seven. It's not big, but it's still good for the experiment which we're trying to do. I think it's still very big because it's an experiment which everybody should believe in. So that's why I think it's still big, even though we are seven. So we are me, Shreya, all of us are architects definitely, and with some extra passion which they have, like architect plus research or architect plus illustrations. Like there's always this plus with the architect. So it's me, Shreya, Kanisk. Shreya is from Rajasthan, Kanisk is from Manipur. Um, Anamika just left, so she's from Chennai. Hussein is from Chennai. Then we have Falguni from Pune, Monica from Solapur, and Tithi again from Pune. So all of these are architects with some extra passion towards either illustration, research, or writing.
okay, pretty diverse team, like, it's like
Yeah, yeah.
really
It's
interesting.
easy to find through the portal. That's why. And
Exactly.
work from home is like the new thing. So we've always thought that work from home would work better for us because it's an online thing.
Mhm.
So it's definitely after the pandemic it has worked better to
Oh,
find people actually.
okay. So how it started and how you coined this word and what does it mean? If you can tell us a little bit about that.
So of course my background is that I did, of course, architecture, and then I did my masters in urban design from Sept. I mean, you can. I don't want to take names, but yeah, I did my urban design from a certain college, and after that, we had a very good group there. Me, Saurav, and Somdeep. We shared the room, and we thought that after Sept, we will definitely want to use the knowledge which we have, which we've garnered in these 2 years, and we want to take it even after the graduation. So that's how it always starts, but then of course it does not happen that way because everybody eventually after college, everybody, they take their own routes, and then I was pretty sure that I want to do this because I was not feeling very confident working in an office trying to implement all these ideas which I have. It's very difficult. um, but I'm not saying my office was bad. It was very good. We were just three of us in Mumbai. It's a Hong Kong based MNC where they did all these master plans, and we had a Dutch boss, and he was quite cool actually. I think I can say that the work was not that great, but at the same time, the environment which I had helped me to work on my things, and also my boss was very, active and very supportive in all these ideas which I had, and that's where I started this comical blog called Leewardist. The word Leewardist was coined by Saurav, who's not part of the team, because then he just initially we have these ideas like we'll do this, we'll name this, and we'll everybody wants to change the world, right?
Yes.
But of course it's not that easy. But then at that time we discussed this word called Leewardist. He coined that we have a hill, right? And so I come from uh, part of, I'm from Nasik, so we have these hills, and it's very scenic. It's close to the Western Ghats, so we could enjoy all of the hills which we have around, and that's where we could like he also came. Saurav also came to Nasik once, and that's where he tried to conceptualize ki every hill has two sides. One is the leeward side and the windward side, and the city is also divided into windward and leeward, where Windward is the side which is the good to look at side because it has sun, it has rain, it has wind. You know, that's the brighter side of the hill. And the leeward side is the one which does not have all of this, and that's why it's the neglected or not looked upon. So similarly, every city also has these two sides where you look at certain things and you don't look at certain things, and of course both of them are equally important. And then we thought that, you know, we can try to put wind, rain, sun on the leeward side of the hill, and we can call ourselves the Leewardists. I know, very conceptual. I think architecture school has made us to, you know, like when every design has a concept. So we thought our name also should have a concept, and whatever, like we stuck with that name. And although it is very difficult to pronounce, difficult to write, sometimes they send us checks with the wrong name, but we thought that no, it started that way, it has to continue, even though, you know, it's a bit difficult for people to understand. Also, sometimes when people come to our page, they don't know what is Leewardist, right? But we, like I said, we still want to stick with that name because it has a special story and a special, you know, like, it was the initiation of Leewardist. So we thought whatever might happen, even if it is not pronounceable, or people do spelling mistakes, or, you know, sometimes even people don't know what we do while looking at the name, we're still okay with it because, you know, it has this
Yeah.
special memory to it.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So I think you're being very honest to yourself कि नहीं जम रहा था ऑफिस में काम and all. It was like interesting, but it's like pretty tough, and you found your niche and all these things. I think it requires lots of courage to say that, I couldn't do that, and this is my passion. I really want to do it. I think that's a very that requires lots of courage. So the thing which you're doing, basically, it's a kind of revolution, I'll say. So what kind of
Yeah.
positive impacts you have achieved? You feel like, and in terms of action, not in terms of like just somebody coming and saying you're saying right and all, but in terms of action, do you think you have achieved?
Yeah, see, creating awareness or creating a change, like I said, is very difficult. It's just a word. It looks very easy. Ki, I want to create change. But when we talk about change, it's even after 6 7 years, it's still very difficult. In the industry, when I'm talking about industry, it's the built environment industry. So, you know, architecture and urban design. So cities, because like I said, I did my urban design as master. So I'm in fact, the entire team is very aware about cities and the urban aspect, sorry, the design aspect of cities rather than only architecture. I know our page also focuses on the protagonist of architects and talking about their life, but trying to also talk about cities and, you know, all the issues which we have in the fraternity and in the city. But like when it comes to change, like I said, uh, of course, we've not got an award because we don't feel that's the impact which we create. Because I mean, to be very frank, we know how the award system works. Like I can be very honest with that.
Yes,
So
yes.
so when it comes to creating an impact or somebody, for example, there's a message on the page that there are two types of messages we have on the page. One is looking at your comics or reading your comics. I felt that I'm not the only one who's facing all of this, so I will continue architecture. Thank you for that. And we've also got messages saying that I got to know the real side of architecture from you, so I'm leaving architecture. I don't feel that is also wrong. That is also fine for us. Very good. Because sometimes we don't know how we entered a profession, right? I mean, if you want to know my story, my father is an architect, so that's how I entered. So that's not the best story actually. Ki, Arey, my father is an architect and that's why I joined. So it's not a very good story. But if you have joined it, or if you're pursuing it, and if you feel that this is not my cup of tea, this is not who I am, and I'm maybe I'm inclined to something else, it's good to, I don't think that's failure. It's just realizing that I'm meant for something else. So I would, again, failure is not at all a bad thing, but if people feel failure is a bad word, I would say, if I want to make it positive, I will say that it's good that you have realized that there is something else which might be inclined towards architecture or maybe beyond architecture. So
Yes, correct.
these are, I think, one of the major impacts, or I would say these are the things which we work for to make people aware. See, again, awareness is a very big term. I am
Yes.
making people aware. Like I think it's an abused term. making people aware. I mean, what does that even mean? I think through these comics we have tried to crack it to some extent. The ability to question, which is again I don't think part of architecture schools. Like questioning, how to question, what to question, and first of all, questioning is important. Is not being part of, I think, even the system. Forget the architecture school. I mean the system in general. So the ability to question and making people think and question the existing format is something which I think we've made an impact to some extent. It's still very hard because, for example,
Very hard. It's very hard.
it's
Yeah.
very hard. Like if we talk about this idea of star architect, because every college is promoting that you will become a star architect or you should become, and even the media is promoting that. So trying to even question that format. So when we do that on our page, we also get abuses for that. How can you say that that star architect is doing this? It's so hard. It's so. But the point is to not become a star architect. That is a byproduct. If you become, it's fine. And
Yes.
again,
Yes.
it's media. It's very complex how somebody becomes a star architect.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes. It's
so
very
this
complex.
idea of talking about that there is no such thing called a star architect. Even your professor can be that star architect, or your senior can be the star. But why are you branding it in that way? So when we talk about these issues, we also get backlash, but we also find some comments who say that okay, I get it. I'm trying to question the fraternity. I'm trying to question the system. I'm trying to question how, why. I mean, do I even want to become a star architect? I mean, is it all about following your passion and trying to find what your niche is? Because if you find your niche, if you follow your passion and eventually you do good work, you might also become a star architect. But the point is,
Yes.
it's not told in that way. It's told in another way because every college is trying to promote the yeah, this is what you have to become, and that's where I feel like creating an impact or creating awareness is still very difficult because it's more about unpopular opinion. I think.
Yes. It's more about unpopular. Another thing, what I really feel is that in our college, they romanticize architecture so much that they try to hide the dark side of it. That we just let it wreck us. So even the thing like unpaid internship, it's been romanticized so much that you're going to learn, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and I think that really affects the career trajectory of a student and the mental well-being. Many things actually it affects.
Yeah. So when you talk about that, specifically about unpaid and how things are normalized, right? So
Exactly
it
how
it
it's done.
start it starts from all these big architects talking about I went to France and I just worked with that architect for free. So people are looking at those stories. I'm sorry, I'll not take the names, but I hope
Yeah.
everybody gets it. Like there are many architects, famous architects or star architects, who have this story. Ki, I went to that country or somewhere and I just worked with them and I did not want money. So these are the stories which students are listening to. They're of course confused. Some of them are confused, some of them are just blindly following it, and some of them are very few part of that, like that crowd is actually questioning. Even if we see that there is an awareness now on social media, it is still a very small number. In reality, everybody is still saying ki nahi, that story, like I want to be that. They are romanticizing, they think this is normal.
Yeah, they think it is normal. Like I taught in an architecture college, and all those students they are graduate now, and many of them they have changed their profession. And I know some of the students they were brilliant designers. I was like, you're going to be really great, but they have changed their profession. And I think not getting paid enough is one of the reason I think people change their profession. So yeah, because it's been romanticized
and
a
and
lot.
and, and so
Yes.
maybe I think where they, even though like I also have the similar story, like to be very honest, I don't want to say this, but yeah, I topped all my 5 years, which I feel it was just a waste of time. That's why I don't take my college name actually. I mean, it's just a waste of time. I topped all my 5 years, and everybody thought the same thing. Ki you are going to do very good. You're going to excel. You're going to excel. But then when I came out of the college, I went into the urban design school. That is where I felt that if I question my profession, my niche, my skill set, my passion, what do I like. I started questioning in those 2 years. And I also changed in a way, but I would not say completely that I'm not an architect. I am an architect. It's just that I don't build. I talk about it. It's fine. I'm still am an architect because to do those things I have to be an architect. So I am an architect. I don't build, but I talk about it. But those questions which I ask myself, I think a lot of students don't even know that we have to do this. Like
Exactly,
we
exactly.
can do that. It's just that they are just following these things which are normal, like you said, unpaid internships, star architects, romanticizing. Again, we are stuck with a curriculum which is outdated.
Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. We should actually talk about it. What do you think? Let's say top three issues in architecture education.
Oh my god.
Even
Top
though
three.
you talked about, even though you topped, do you think what you studied was it good enough to
Okay,
to
so there's an interesting answer to it. So if I talk about my college,
okay.
like I said, I topped all the 5 years, and I just focused on that one thing which I figured out very soon, that if you do good presentation, you will definitely top. But that actually helped me because it's basically I love to present, and I love to make a visual thing out of everything.
Yeah,
So
that is what you're
that
doing right now.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. So maybe it worked in a way, but that's not a case study which you have to take, because not everybody is good at presentation, or not everybody is good at building, not everybody is good with services. So there is something which everybody can find from the architecture school.
okay.
I mean, of course, we are getting away from the original question. The question is that what are the problems which we have? I
Yes.
feel the curriculum definitely is something which I think it's more about a college investing on research, R&D, and trying to come up with methods, analogies, different way of presentation, focusing on uh, doing like skill development for the professors. I mean, that is not even talked about. Like, you just join the college and this is what you have to teach. Like, that's the format of every college. I'm
I
talking
think
about majority of college. I'm not stereotyping. I'm talking about majority of colleges based on all the colleges which I've personally been to in the past 4 5 years. So this is a format which they follow, that we will hire you as a professor, and this is what you have to teach. There is no questioning by the professor. There is no skill development, no innovation in teaching, and of course there is no, like, the curriculum is outdated. So even if you look at any history book, it is Bannister Fletcher, which is 1970s or 80s, which is still being pursued in the architecture school. So I think the system of the college itself is the biggest problem, I feel. I know a
yes.
lot of it also relates to finances given by the college. I know that there is a financial
Hmm.
structure which is heavily dependent. Like, if somebody wants to call somebody, like for example, I was never called on college budget. I was called entirely 90% of the time. I've been invited, like they've paid for the flight, the stay, the remuneration by student budget. I feel bad a lot of times, but then I said, "Ki, okay, TK, you're investing, you are going to get the benefit, the students." But hardly there was something ki college has a budget for this. So I get it. The system, the finances is one big problem. The second is, I think, the even the teachers, I would say, chalo, like, I know it's very hard to motivate the teachers if they're only going to get a certain salary. Why would they go beyond their, because teachers are like mentors, and the students look up to them, or they
Hmm.
also hate them, or they love them. That's like very big contrast which they have.
Yes.
So the mentors or the teachers also have a big responsibility, because teaching is not a profession ki I don't have a job. The architecture office is giving me 10,000, 15,000. The school is giving me 20,000. That's not the decision. It is equally as a passionate job. Like, if you are into this profession, you have a responsibility. So anybody saying that I'm not getting paid is not the reason. You have come there because you have a big responsibility to mentor and mold the students.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and
Yes.
I think again the colleges. If I talk about the third point, there can be many. Sorry, I'm not doing it in
Yeah.
chronology. It's
That's
not
why.
in hierarchy.
Like,
It's not in hierarchy.
yeah. Yeah.
I think the see the students. with the amount of information, access to internet, access to resources is immense considering to me when I graduated in 2012. So, the job of the mentor or the teacher is to clear the basics of the student. They don't have to make it complex for them. And that is what professors do. Ki, "Arey, this is nahi." Like the student is not aware about what is site analysis, then they're talking about some other, they're skipping steps. You just have to clear the basics. It is like a catalyst. You just clear the basics and then it will automatically go ahead. You don't have to worry about the student getting into the complexities of the subject. You just have to clear the basics. That's your job. That's it. Leave it up to the student. The student is actually more aware, more sensitive. Access to information is immense.
isn't it?
Your job is to clear the basics, and that is the difficult part. That's what I figured out also. Clearing the
Hmm.
basics of the students is actually the most difficult part. That's why the faculties or the mentors are just trying to, just randomly. There's no method in the teaching. It's just randomly. Arey, this is too complex. Ye nahi hai," you are not going deep into it. You clear the basics. If you're talking about a design subject, if you're introducing design as a subject, talk about design through analogies, through products, through anything, through nature. Clear the basics of the student and leave it up to him or her. That student will take it ahead. You don't have to worry about that. The problem is you directly skip steps and you start talking about complex things. The student is going to be lost, and that is 90% of the students are lost. They're just finishing. "Ki khatam karna, let's finish this."
Let's finish this. Yes, yes, yes.
They're not enjoying. The students are not enjoying the course, and it is a course worth enjoying. I mean, it's
Yes,
a beautiful
it is.
course. So I
It's a
always have this statement. I don't know if it is patented, but I can patent it. The architecture course is not bad. It is the people who are running it are bad.
Oh my God.
That's the problem. It's a beautiful course. People should know it. It's amazing. The people who are running it. That's why you feel bad about the course.
I think most of the institutes and colleges, it's been run by non-designers.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
true.
is the problem. Like it's been run by non-designers.
Hmm.
I don't know if there is this.
I think there is one school in Bombay where I think it's the trustees are the architects. I could see
Even
some of them.
okay, okay. Even one institute in Bangalore, which is of our genre, like ours is an institute. We provide interior and fashion design degree. So institutes of our kind, even one institute in Bangalore, and obviously our institute, it's been incepted by architect. But
Okay,
apart
okay.
from that, I haven't seen any. So I think that is a problem. Another thing, I think colleges they don't hire young faculties.
I
I
think,
mean,
yeah,
even if
yeah.
they don't
You
have a
could
voice to say.
right, right, right. Even if they are hired, they don't have a voice. That's yeah. That's a right. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a right.
So
This
actually,
thing.
that happened with me when I first started teaching. I was like, it could be done in much better way, but I was the junior most. I didn't have a voice, and I
Hmm.
was like, okay, one day I'll open my own college and I'll do the things the way I want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's I
yeah,
think every young faculty's dream too. In fact, I also taught in a college. If you want to know that part of my life,
that was my next question. That have you ever
so
taught and
yeah.
what was
So
the experience?
I taught in an ex college in Pune. Okay,
Okay.
and the principal was good, very good. I mean, I can take his name because he's very good. Kiran Shinde. He's now left India. He's gone to the Australia, of course, because he also did not. He also could not cope up. So when I entered into teaching, I thought like let's have some earnings out of it. I mean, because I had
Yes.
left my job and I thought I can do this like as a side thing just to have that extra buck so that I
Yes.
can sustain my dream. And at the same time, I can also test out my methods with the student. Let's see, like, is it
Correct.
too much? Is
Yes.
it
Yes.
too maybe like utopian, or is it like not
Like
at all working?
after graduating or after you started Leewardist?
I graduated from urban design in 2012.
Okay.
I actually traveled a lot. I don't know how due to SEPT we were introduced to these international workshops. So there was one in Japan where I got selected during SEPT, and that
Okay.
got some connections. That we also have a workshop in Paris, so you can join that also. and
Okay.
all of these are funded. So there's a good amount of registrations which come. So like because it's
Okay.
funded. So then I applied for that, and I think a lot of these urban design institutes from all over India applied, and I got selected. And one of my classmate was in shortlist, but then he also got selected, and we went to Paris for a month, like fully
Wow.
sponsored month workshop. And I also always feel that these are better than these masters 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 50 lakh fees. This thing 2 years. These are better. You are 1 month. You are among the best people who have come, because all of them are also
Yes.
funded, and it's a
Yes.
1 month. It's like doing masters in that 1.5 months. It's so
Wow.
intense. You go to site, you talk with people, you present your work, your proposals to the authorities, to the municipal corporation, and like it's
Okay.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, it's very good. And
Okay.
I'm lucky to have been introduced to all of these in Incept. And like I said, I went to Japan, and then we went to Paris, and then from after that there was somebody who came from Russia, from Siberia actually. She said that I hold a similar workshop in Siberia. I went as a mentor, so I was promoted from being a participant to being a mentor
Mm-hmm.
for the team. So I did that over in Siberia. It's nice. It's minus
Wow.
38. It's amazing. It's a different context, and this is how you actually like you should travel. I know funded, not funded. It's completely up to you. But
Yes.
looking at a minus 38-degree context and trying to understand that for them, keeping warm is the major concern. It's
Yes.
not like so it's like ice everywhere, and they don't have fridges, they don't have fridge because they keep all their stuff outside the window. So
Okay.
this is a very nice concept, which sorry, context which you understand. So all of these workshops helped me. And even after my graduation, when I was working, I went to Siberia. Before joining the college, I went to Netherlands for a similar ISO carb. So there were all these connections. You meet people. They said that you come to this workshop, you come to that workshop, you apply, and then all of these connections help me in, of course, having a good exposure. Even though I am from Nasik, I'm from a small town. I always look for these opportunities where I could travel and meet people and do some work. So when I came back, uh, uh, I thought, like I leave the office, and I thought of doing Leewardist. So I went to Pune because I thought maybe I can get a good salaried teaching job.
Okay.
So over there, I thought of two things. I will experiment with my ideas of teaching, and then I'll also get some salary, or a what
Hmm.
1 hour remuneration, whatever it is, which is still very low. But let's not talk about that. So I did an urban design elective for the students for the I think the fourth year it's, and I thought I'll make it completely like a narrative with mostly like a PPT kind of animation, and I'll try to show narratives and the logics of a city rather than talking about this city as an example. Like let's talk about, like, for example, I made a story about these. There are these traboules in France, which is basically shortcuts. I mean, they have a fixed pattern of the old city, right? You can see certain patterns
Okay.
of the road network, etc. So, for the laborers to take the goods from the port to the upper part of the city, they had to walk a lot because it was like not like
Okay.
straight road, right? So they had to walk a lot. So they had a they the port authority talked with the resident owners, and they tried to open up some of the houses from the ground floor, like you can pass through
Okay.
these. So those are called traboules, and now they are being used as a tourist attraction because you never see a house from inside. Like when
Hmm.
you go to the European, like you cannot enter inside. So this is a good way to see like how it is from the inside. So it's also a tourist attraction. So I made this narrative about the port authority, the laborers taking the luggage, and it was a lot of work for them. And then they talked with the resident owners, and then they thought, okay, let's open it up, and they signed a treaty. It's like a policy, like in today's
Yes.
context.
Yes.
So I made these animated PPTs, like not animations entirely, because
Okay.
PPT is like frames, right? It's like
Yes.
slide,
Yes.
slide, slide.
Yeah. 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 Yes.
So, and it definitely worked. Of course, I mean it was like it had to work. And then
Yes.
I talked about urban design through all these case studies, through narratives, through animations, and tried to make it very, very easy to understand about cities, about finance. So finance is a topic which is like finance in urban design. How do you finance a project? It's very boring for students. I don't want to listen about finance. So I talked about Sabarmati. riverfront development, and I talked about how they, like, it was a series of section and animations coming on top of it,
Okay.
like how the
Okay.
section was revised to create new land, and then 11% of that new land was sold so that they can cover the entire cost of the project. So I think that worked very very nicely with the students, and they enjoyed it. Of course, they learned a lot about urban design, and it was like a very good. We ended it with some exercise, which was, again, I thought, I'll not make it very obvious. I'll do something. I remember I told them to look at your area and try to identify all the layers of the layers
Hmm.
which we discussed about the
Yeah.
city, and just try to identify and make a sketch out of it, or make a narrative about from that. And of course, they have a feedback form. Every at the end of a semester they had a feedback form, and it was like my feedback form was so good that the professor said ki, sorry, the principal Kiran, they said ki, Anuj, this is very good. I want you to do for the third year and the fifth year who's coming back from internship, so
Okay.
you do this for them also. And of course, I felt good that it's working. But
Yes.
then
Yes.
eventually it is a college, right? There's a system, there is politics, and that,
Exactly.
they,
My God.
like for example, they introduced some other person in in my elective. I don't know why. I mean, they introduced you both will take this elective. I don't know what was the reason for that, and then that eventually I lost interest because there's one more person who's getting involved, and I had to change a lot of things, and I don't know why what this decision was taken. And then eventually, after 2 years of teaching, I thought, like, I can do my own platform with this. Why do I need to be in a college to promote
Yes.
this idea?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I think, and I don't blame like the principal or that faculty who was with me. I think it's the system is a bit messed up. The
System.
reasons, some of the reasons are unknown, some of the reasons are like I also want to be in that limelight, I also want to be part of that, or I know better than this person, I am much more experienced, so why is, like, I also want to be part of it. So there are these very egoistic reasons which led to me not
It's a
eventually.
very good.
Sorry, that is, I think, yeah, every school. Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
So, so, and it's difficult. Like, some professor is there maybe for the last 20 years in the college, and then you see somebody like, I know it's difficult for them. Like, why is this? Like, no, this is not a very good method. Or, there's uh, you know, regression in terms of that not accepting the change, or not
Yes.
accepting the evolution. Evolution. It's an evolving, right? Everybody
Yes.
has to evolve. It's part of nature.
Exactly.
So that is where I thought it's fine. Like, it's fine. I can go to colleges separately and go as special. I thought that I'll do that maybe later in my years, which I did eventually. So then
Yes.
students in all the colleges started calling me for these sessions. Like, some of them started calling me about life, the journey of Leewardist, or somebody wanted to take some workshops. So I also did a lot of workshops, around like more than 100 workshops all over India, on storytelling, narratives, how to tell your story, mostly on that. And we
Okay.
also started focusing on, even more grave issues, like making a portfolio, what to look into while applying for an office. It's not about sending to many offices. So we also developed a method of internships, how to look for an office, what is your niche, how to find your forte, what are the hints, what you can work on. So even the courses which we have are more inclined towards clearing the basics. That's what I even told at the start of this session, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we focus. So, moving from teaching in a college to a platform which talks about all these issues which I could never have talked in the college.
Definitely.
And
Yes.
even talking about more serious issues, I think everything which we talk on our page are serious. There's no such thing called as more serious or less serious. But
Yes.
I
Yes.
feel
Yes.
we
Yes.
also went into finding your forte. We also talked about a course where I don't want to do architecture. I know it sounds very clickbaity that I don't want to do architecture, but the course was more about how to go beyond architecture. First, understand architecture and try to find your niche.
Oh wow.
It was too exhaustive for us because we actually made a gamified. There's a in Netflix there's a movie called Bandersnatch, which was the inspiration. It's basically
Okay.
you can choose your destiny, kind of a thing. I
Okay.
know
Okay.
if you read Goosebumps, R.L. Stein, there is like a choose your destiny kind of, like, there are these at the end of a page. you have to choose between saving the girl or running from there. So if you
Okay.
say, okay, I want to run from here, you go to page 112. Then you 112 mein the story extends from that part.
Okay.
So same Bandersnatch did with the smart TV where you can choose.
Okay.
We also thought that we will try to talk about I don't want to do architecture or going beyond architecture by making it a gamified version where there are many permutations and
Wow.
combinations in the entire course where the students learn to through these two sessions by playing the game, like choosing what is
That's
right for them.
good.
It's more of an aspirational course rather than very technical because you cannot technically do that. Like,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's more of an aspirational one. So we thought
Yes.
we'll make it like a gamified version where we can actually help students choose. So, like I said, it's very exhaustive to make these content and to
I
make
know.
that people
I know. I
be.
mean, I'm thinking about it, and it's like it does sound exhaustive. Is it still there on your portal? I
Uh,
mean,
we,
do you still?
we've deleted it because, like I said, we change the course every year. Like we try to add things, and
Okay.
to change that course or evolve or make add things to it, it's very exhaustive. It's like, and it is amazing. Like the students were like they have never seen such thing, and the learning is playing the game.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
we've like removed it, but of course we feel that education cannot be industrialized. That's why we want to have less number of students. We want to have this very customized way of learning. And
Okay.
even if we have like 20 students, which is fine because that's the scale which is handleable on the online this thing for
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Okay.
Online it is handleable.
So we've removed that because we want to evolve that, and it's a lot of work to even evolve that
It's a lot
piece.
of work. It's a lot of work.
We
Yes.
also thought of doing a simpler version of that. So in the portfolio making course, the fourth session is basically, so we have four sessions. The fourth session is making a portfolio live, in
Okay.
which we have, so I take my project and I keep like a lot of questions for the students to pick. Like if I want to
Okay.
show urban forests, what kind of
Okay.
a graphic will I choose? Will I choose like a caricature kind? So I have four options, and they will choose that, okay, this is, so there's a poll, right? In Zoom you have a poll, so they will choose from the one which they find, and they have a reason also attached to it. Why am I choosing this? So, we tried a simpler version of that gamified for I don't want to do architecture through this portfolio making. So where we make a portfolio live, but the entire premise is set. We just have to choose and give reasons for why am I choosing this.
Okay.
So we did that, and eventually at the end of the 2 hour session, we make a portfolio, but like only one
Okay.
project because that's only
Okay.
that is possible in those 2 hours.
I guess sorry. I guess you must have faced a lot of tough time in college also. I mean, when you were teaching because of your new ideas and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was young. I mean, and of course, nobody looked at me in that way because they say, कि, like, they might be thinking about, ठीक है, like, do let him experiment. वो करना है करो, that kind of an attitude. Like, we
Okay.
don't care much or we
Yeah.
don't want to be part of your mission. You just do what, like, just make the students happy. They're fine with that. That kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So nobody was bothered in my, as in like the colleagues which I have, and in terms of the principal he's very good. He's very good. Kiran Shinde, I think we talked a lot. Of course, he also wanted to change the world. I also wanted to change the world. We talked, but then of course both of us were stuck with the
That's
system which we
good.
have.
Yes, 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 yes.
But I think when it comes to, yeah, there was nobody supporting me. But I would not say, yeah, they did not trouble me. But nobody supported me also. That's fine. I met good professors also there who were in some other class, and we connected. We talked. There's this professor called Subhashish from Pune, and I found good people on the way to
Uh,
Leewardist. Like luckily, and he also wanted to create the change. But I also felt that was a better person in terms of his thoughts, his ideas, but he cannot go out of that system. So I also felt bad for him. So maybe I was lucky that I could get away from the system and start my own. So maybe I'm privileged. So I also feel sometimes that I'm privileged.
yes,
Like
yes, yes.
I'm privileged in many sense. So even if you say that it was hard for me when I look at all of these, I feel bad for that person, and I sometimes feel maybe I'm lucky, I'm privileged, and I get to work on things which I love.
Yes,
So I am privileged, I think,
definitely.
very.
Yes, yes. Very few people
So
do what they love.
yeah, and he, like I said, he was definitely better, and he had very good ideas. I learned from him. I think he wanted to create a change in the system,
Mm-hmm.
but very, very difficult.
Very difficult. Very
and,
difficult.
and difficult for him to get away out of the system, because he's maybe he's stuck in that system. I don't know, like, I
Actually,
mean,
everybody is stuck in the system, right from top to bottom, and it's difficult. It's a very
and I think sometimes even the students are also stuck, and they, even if they understand all of this, even if when they listen to this podcast they understand everything, but to create a change or take that step, it's very difficult, because
difficult.
every context, every individual's context is complex,
It's complex.
and
Yes.
and I cannot give a general feedback to anybody. Like, even if people look at our comics and they take it as a general feedback, it's still not the answer. Like, I mean, that's, I think, the next step which we are trying to do is to get into, like, one on one. It's very difficult to have that in today's context, especially everything is online. you know it has to go beyond. Like, I cannot give a generic feedback to a generic opinion to everybody. I cannot,
Yes.
because
Yes.
I cannot just say ki, follow your passion, go do it. See, today's context, everybody knows their passion. It is
Uh,
hard to take a step and pursue it. That's, I think, very hard. I'm not talking about financially, or, like, mostly it is, I think, the mental pressure, or the
mental
mental state
pressure
of
is a lot.
mind, the state of mind which is very difficult. That how do I move away? Will I get money? Will I not get money? Will I, there are many. I think the mental part of that is tough in today's context. So if somebody used to ask, you faced a lot of struggle, if you compare to that, like that, my father's era, no, I did not face all of
Yes.
that.
Yes. Yes.
But I faced something else which is maybe new to people, but still equally important as part of struggle. Mostly I'm talking about the mental health
Understood.
part of
Actually,
it.
it feels it's
And
changed a lot, which was like 20 years back, and now I think it is very overlapping right now. It's very multidisciplinary right now, which was not there like
yeah,
earlier. And right now, there are so
uh,
many parameters to a practice. Like, for example, a social media image is a very important
yeah,
parameter to any kind of a business. I think
right,
that
right.
also drives, like, a lot of motive.
Yeah, I think when you talk about multidiscipline, it's I think the right approach. It should be the approach even while teaching in the college.
Exactly. It should be the approach. Yes, yes, yes.
And I think there are, when I talk with the colleges, and when I went to colleges, and when I talk with students or the professors, there is still a gap where, on social media we see everybody talking about multidiscipline. Architecture cannot be like building, like towards making a building, or something like that. It can be multidisciplinary, but social media, that's what I say, it's a small portion of people who are talking about it. When you go to the colleges, they still have a lot of problems, like the parents coming and telling ki, like, I'll talk in Hindi first and then I'll translate it, कि आप हमारे बच्चे को भटका क्यों रहे हैं?
Huh.
Which is, why are you telling why tell him here or her to do the architecture? That's your job. Why are you telling all of these things? So that is a problem. The professors not believing in that, the principal not believing in that, the system, the entire system of that college does not believe in that. Because if they do it, then people will say तुम लोग architecture के नाम पे लोगों को कुछ भी बोल रहे हो. So it's still difficult to bring that in the reality, like in
Yes,
practice.
yes, yes.
And the amount of colleges versus the amount of architecture students graduating, or architects, coming out every year, I think we don't need so many architects. Who is putting out? I mean, the Council of Architecture is just saying one day that we need this many architects. I mean, I don't think, like, I don't know. Maybe I need numbers for that, and I can definitely make a comic on that later. But I mean, it's not. We don't need so many. We need, I would say, focused individuals who believe in this art. Okay, and that again starts from the coaching classes. The coaching classes are now also becoming, so architecture is the new engineering, I feel. Because I think 10, 15 years back, engineering was that, like everybody wants to be an engineer, and especially a computer engineer.
Yes, yes.
Now, architecture is that thing that, everybody's like, architecture, like, yeah, yeah, that's the thing for you. Everybody, like, I mean, even some parents also come, right? Ki, Arey, we want our son to do this. I'm like, you have come to the wrong person, first of all. I am not going to give you a biased opinion about because I'm an architect. Why do you think I will tell that come join architecture? It's a fun course. I can evaluate your son or your daughter and I can tell do it or don't do it. You want that, and then they don't come back to me.
So awareness in it, like I'll tell you, 2 weeks back, I had a word with this one parent, and he was like, "My daughter wants to be a physiotherapist or an interior designer." I'm like, "There's no link.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy. I mean, you actually have to question. I mean, we could have questioned that person that why these
Why
two
these two?"
things
Yeah,
like,
so that is what I asked, and I told them that you just come at the institute, you just see the work, and if your daughter feels that she can do this, then it's a right choice for her. Because पता नहीं
yeah.
रहता है क्या होने वाला है field में. So you at least see what your life will be after being a designer, and then you.
And I don't know how they can visualize this. Like, it's even difficult for a student of that age, like 18, 17,
Yes,
to look at this profession and to understand what they do, what it is, what is the essence or the purity of
yes,
it.
yes, yes, yes.
Most of the students, they come and say ki Instagram page Hadi, then all of these star architects
Yes,
come images they've seen, and they want to do something like this, which is the foundation is very weak in joining
yes.
this profession.
Another thing, we don't teach the business part of the profession at the
Yeah.
institutes, which is very important.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is where major problem starts, because we should teach students how to earn.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, even a general lecture on finance,
Yes,
management, or
yes, yes,
business
yes.
is very necessary. Maybe not an elective. I mean, that's still some colleges have. I would say it has to be part of it. Like when I started this experiment, the experiment has to have a financial output to it, right?
Exactly.
And I was like, if somebody could have told me this in my architecture school, anything about business or finance management, or finance as a subject, but I don't know why it is not. Like there's a debate happening about schools should be more creative versus practicality. So the colleges, the professors who say that your design has to be practical, don't talk about the finance and the budgeting and the phasing part of that building, rather than just saying a practical nahi hai. Like there's a paradox. The entire architecture education is a paradox.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So yeah, the finances, I think that is where the problem really, really lies.
And I hope, like I wished I learned that in the urban design school. That is where I got an interest, and it's an interesting subject. I mean, I don't know why people are. I think the problem is to how do you teach that subject. I think that's the problem, because
Hmm.
it's a very good subject, and it's a very good interesting aspect which I think the students would love to understand and know more
Yes.
about it. But I think it's more about finding that professor or finding somebody who can talk about it, and then eventually it's just say कि just
Actually,
scrap it, let's not talk
जब
about it.
तक करिकुलम में डालेंगे तब तक नहीं होगा. उसको करिकुलम में ही डालना पड़ेगा. और वो इतना टाइट रहता है ना पूरा शेड्यूल. 10 मंथ्स कॉलेज रहेगा, 2 मंथ्स ऑफ रहेगा, मिड टर्म है, ये है, सबमिशन है, इतने आवर्स होने चाहिए, इतने सारे वो एडमिन पार्ट में कैलकुलेशंस रहते हैं.
Right,
करने के
right.
लिए वी नीड टू डू सम एडजस्टमेंट्स, अदरवाइज इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू.
I know it's a tough job. I know I've left it, but maybe I might have also stayed in that and tried to create. I know it's a very tough job. Maybe I was not meant to it, but individuals like you, or there might be some individuals who want to create the change in the system. So
Yes, yes,
I know it's a tough job, and it's equally like it's a I get it. I completely get it.
yes, yes, yes. So yeah, even this frustration was actually my motivation to have a design institute. So how do you face how do you yeah how do you face the backlashes which you get on social media and all?
See, I mean, even though we are creators and we enjoy our work, we don't we feel bad. I mean, we are not superhuman. We are
Exactly.
not superheroes. Okay, we are not.
Yes.
if somebody says this is shit, I mean, we feel bad about it. We are, like I said, we are normal people. Like we are normal human beings. We are like all of us.
Yes, all of us,
So
yeah.
we feel bad sometimes when we talk. Sometimes when we involve politics, we get personal comments like with names taken, talking about my background or some team member's background, and
Members.
even that, yeah. And for 2 days we cannot work. Seriously, it's very hard for us.
Yes.
I'm not saying that array you should take constructive. There is a thin line between trolling and constructive criticism.
Correct, correct.
There's a thin line
Yes.
between that. People don't know that line. So they cross it. Immediately they cross it and they start personally attacking you because you said something about our government or some political statement or an unpopular opinion. And it's social media, right? You can just say abuse and just leave. They can do that very easily,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And it's hard for us, but I think we have grown, but still it is hard. Like, of course, whenever there is an unpopular opinion, we get trolled, we get abuses. We, like I said, they even take our names and say, ये ऐसा करता है उसने ये किया, we I know this person. Even they do that, like they want to threaten us, right? It's their way
It's
of
their
threatening
way of
us
creating it.
to not talk about these unpopular opinions, which is like basically we're trying to make people aware, and then there are some people are like, nee, this should not spread, and then they start putting certain comments or even messages. So one response is to not respond at all.
Hmm.
Okay, even if it is like they're trying to talk about my life or my way, even that it's fine. You can talk. I'm not going to say that. How did you say that to me? It's fine. Of course, it feels very bad, but I don't want to respond to it because then that will create a chain reaction,
Yes.
and it will eventually hurt me. I need to take care of myself. That is the priority. The
Yes.
entire team needs to take care of their health and especially their mental health. So we don't get into these. If you want to say, you say it. We don't. We will not respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, of course, if there is a very critical comment, which is a critical comment, and we want to respond to that, we will do that. But to abuses and trolls, definitely we don't respond.
Hmm.
How do we cope up with that? We don't work. We don't work. We
Yes.
do another work because it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to see all these comments, and
Yes, yes, yes.
it's difficult. So we don't work. We just leave that and just work on something else. I mean, social media is not the only thing which we're doing. So we're doing graphic novels for certain organizations, for certain collaborators. We are doing like we're creating study material for ARE, which is basically architecture registration exam for the American
Oh, wow.
architects. So there's a collaborator, and we are making like good visual content, trying to simplify everything. So we have a lot of other things. So we are definitely diversified. Social media is just one mother. It's like she's the mother,
Yes.
and I think from there everything, like it's like that's the start, and everything follows that. The collaborators, the like people like Josh from the US who believes in our idea of you know simplifying and making it like the basics clear wala thing which I told. So we are doing that for him, and there are many people. There is architect Ritu Deshmukh from Navi Mumbai, who with whom we are doing like a series of like 4 or 5 graphic novels on ecological architecture
Okay.
practices of India.
Uh-huh.
Then the water system of New Bombay, because she's from New Bombay and she wants to spend a lot on the research because
Mm-hmm.
there's not much documentation of Navi Mumbai. So we're doing a lot of things. Social media is definitely a very important part of it because it starts from there, right?
Starts
It's
from
the
there.
mother.
Yes. Yes.
So, and of course, we keep on putting thought provoking ideas, funny ideas, interesting ideas, and all of that on the
Mm-hmm.
social media. So, of course, we get backlash, so we just stay quiet for 2 days, and it's okay. I mean, it's not like कि हाँ ठीक है, you say anything, we are very strong. No, we are not. We are like we have our mental health. We want to take care of our mental health.
Yes.
So that's very important. And something like this happens, we know that there are going to be repercussions. It's not. It's like we are open to the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are going to be backlashes. There are going to be trolls, abuses, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of abuses, but definitely trolls. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing which we could see on our page. We could see very very healthy debates on almost every post, which I think on social media is very rare.
Very rare. Yes.
Like I think even the collaborations we did with one college from uh, Panipat, Jindal, I think Jindal School of Architecture. They wanted to talk about ideas which they have for the architecture education system. So research, we made a comic on research in
Hmm.
architecture. We made a comic on architecture as a multidiscipline. We did that. It's like it was. It's good to see people believing in us and our ideas also.
Hmm.
And it's fun. It's fun to talk, and you could see the comments are very good. Like it's not like good work, not that. We don't want that. Good work, nice. We want good discussions and debates. Let that be a discourse for
Yes.
discussing, debating, and very healthy debates also happen. But sometimes, there are
Yeah,
these
yeah.
few people
Yes,
who
yes,
come.
yes. It's
Definitely,
the
yeah.
part of the package.
Yes, definitely.
So, what was the worst episode which you faced? If you can share about it.
In terms of the comic which we posted or something we posted on.
Anything, yeah, I think, yeah. In your
Are you saying like work in terms of the entire Leewardist journey, or are you talking about any particular post?
in your journey, in your journey, like what you are today.
Uh, there are many actually. I cannot like because the ones which get older,
Yeah.
I don't actually worry about them right now. Like the more you evolve, the problems also evolve.
Yes.
As simple
Yes.
as that.
Yes.
So if I look at the older ones at that time, I definitely like faced ki, "Arey yaar, this is so sad." Like for example, we did a comic on Central Vista. The first one, did not
Ah,
get
yes.
a lot of backlash. I don't know why. But the second one, which was actually more informative, and then we went into the details of trying to crack it, that got like 152 comments. Out of those, 132 comments were about how wrong you are, you don't know anything. Then again, talking about this Anuj Kale, I know this person, SISI, etc. There's a big comments they have. Like 130 comments are all. I'm not saying they are abuses. They are like trying to demotivate you and dishearten you. Like
Yes.
the comments are
Yes.
written to affect you mentally.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I think that is where I thought ki, I mean, it is difficult to be political. Like even in architecture, you can be political, right? You can have a stand, and we can. I mean, I'm not saying we are right, but we can have another opinion, right?
Hmm.
So I think that one comic was. I mean, it was yeah, it was like I could not work for the entire week.
Oh my God.
It was sad. I mean, and people don't know this. Like, it's very hard. I'm not saying that you don't criticize us. Please do it, but do it in the way it is meant to be. Don't not by making it personal or trying to say harsh words and saying like you can oppose it, but there's a way to oppose it. You cannot go personal. You cannot talk. You cannot like demean that you don't know. You're just like like there was one comment which came in the recent Central Vista comic that the person tried to write some critical comments about the comic, which is fine. But then he ended by saying, "But what can you expect from a architect turned cartoonist?" So that was like,
Oh.
I mean, that was bad, right? I mean, are you saying that cartoonist is not a good profession, or is it not like he was trying to tell people कि देखो architect cartoonist बन गया, so that's a bad thing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and
Intention.
there might be some people who looked at that comment and said, "Huh, yeah, maybe." So that's a very wrong way of that. That was very bad. Like how low can you go? That is how he went.
So how you keep
But
yourself
then there was a reply to the comment
motivated?
saying that, but that's still better than a chaiwala becoming a prime minister. That somebody replied to that. So then I felt nice. Okay, so there are people who believe and not believe. There can be
Yes.
anything. So you don't have to sometimes answer everything. So there somebody else does it for you. So then you feel good.
Yes. So how do you keep yourself motivated?
See, I think it starts from the foundation. Like I said, the foundation when I started about trying to simplify and talk in a language which everybody understands, not only in India but outside India, without language barrier, and that storytelling part. I should talk about architecture in a different format through stories. So this foundation is keeping us alive
Okay.
through. social media, through graphic novels, through the US one. It's there. That's the foundation.
That's
And
true.
and even if there is backlash, so that sometimes backlash can not only be the demotivating thing. Sometimes a comic not working can also be demotivating. Kerry, why did this not work? Why did people not like? Why people are not discussing? So there are many things, not only the comments. It's
Yes.
sometimes even the comic not reaching out to people. We spend sometimes a lot of effort on making that, researching, and then it does not do the impact which we wanted. So I think it's just that you take a pause and just come back. Like, you don't have to stress yourself out, because it's eventually social media. Like, it's okay. You can, whenever we feel low, we just pause ourselves. We don't stop. I think most of the people, when they have a backlash or some, uh, like, there's a hurdle, they try to rethink on their choices. Ki, oh,
Yes.
I think I made a wrong decision.
Yes.
I think it's not about that. You are on the right track. It's just that it's a phase. So you can pause yourself, because the other problem which I feel, that everybody wants to get that quickly. That I will come up with this idea, I will put it on social media, or I want this idea to be like famous very
They
fast,
want the
which is
validation
basically,
quickly, quick validation. That is it.
yeah, they want quick validation, and then when they don't see that, they will come up with something more, and they want to be active,
Yeah.
they want to be popular. This is then they have cancel culture, because they feel that अरे मेरे को लोग फिर people will cancel me. I think there's an analogy of fast food versus slow cooked meal, like slow cooked meal versus fast food.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wants fast food, and what is fast food? It's basically, you're hungry, you know that McDonald's will give me this burger in 5 minutes,
Yes.
and the coke and the fries in 5 minutes, I'll get it. If I want to talk critically about the food, I will say, I don't remember, and I don't fantasize McDonald's ka food, right?
Yeah.
Versus a slow cooked meal which my father makes. My father makes a very good mutton curry, which he starts from 9 in the morning and finishes at like around 1:30.
Okay.
So he grounds the dry spices, the wet ones, and he mixes it in the mixer, or maybe in that, that mortar and pestle, and then he cooks the mutton, gives on a slow flame, and then the masala is put in it, and then it is cooked on a slow flame for at least 45 to 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire process is slow, but when you finally eat that slow cooked meal, you identify the spices, you remember the flavors, you will remember it for a longer time, and it is good for your stomach also, because it's cooked in a slow flame. You can disagree about the mutton and the non-veg part, you can maybe replace it with something else, but it's a better meal than the fast cooked meal, and you remember it. I want to have my father's curry rather than going to
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's. So McDonald's is just a fast food, like it's quick. So people want fast food, but they don't know that the slow cooked meal is actually better.
Yes.
So what I'm cooking is a very slow cooked meal, and I'm okay. And I eventually found out that you can take your time. You don't have to hustle. That's again media trying to promote that you have to keep on hustling, grab the opportunity, you have to be on your toes. You can take your own time. I know there's a financial part attached to it also, but I'm talking about the mental health part. You can take your own time, you can be smart, and you can create your own niche, and you can create a good slow cooked meal which will be loved by everybody, and it will be also good for you. Like when I say the slow cooked meal is good for your stomach also.
Yes.
So I believe in a slow process,
Okay.
and you don't have to industrialize. You don't have to like I want this. It's just a like even like something getting viral on the internet is just a small bubble. It's a fast food. Like, ho gaya, viral, and then it's over.
I
Like,
mean, we can't
into
equate popularity to success. I think we
yes,
equate
yes,
nowadays
yes,
that
exactly,
more number of
exactly.
followers and likes. Like
Yeah,
you need to be successful in real, not in real.
yeah. Only oh, that's a good way of telling it. Like for example, in 2017, I posted this comic. After of course 500 comics not working, I posted this comic which is basically a gray background.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a lot. I did a lot, and I was enjoying it. I'm not like I did it for making that 500 comics. I was enjoying it. Ki dekhte what people like. I just kept on putting, and I made this comic, which has a gray background, and it has four isometric views.
Hmm.
It's basically for sketch, initial sketch, meeting with client, after construction drawings, and on site. So on these four events, the design changes.
Okay.
So your sketch and then all these three things which come, your final design is a box.
Yes.
So this, you can call it a meme or whatever comic. It went viral. Like it had around 10,000 shares on Facebook, which
Okay.
was a very big deal at that time. So I was like, is this it? No, that was just a small, it was a catalyst. I have to keep on doing it, making more content, evolving my content, talking about more. So that's just a starting point. You cannot define that as success, like you said.
Yes.
It was just a catalyst to give a discourse, a further discourse ki abhi I have to do more. I have to evolve. I can have characters in the comics. I can have a family. I can have an environment.
Yes.
I can talk about different issues. It was just a small catalyst which eventually laid down the path.
Yes.
So people think that that is success. No, that's not.
It's not. Yes.
Viral is just maybe just a boost, a small boost, I would say.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Of course, my life changed after that, but it was of course like 500 comics ke baad that came. So it was not that I became overnight popular. There are 500 comics which were not working. People don't know about that. So yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the real versus the real. People feel that real is, and people also suggest us, you make reels, you make reels. I mean, I don't want to be like popular. I want to use the format for the right purpose. I want to use social media for the right
Yes.
purpose. It might come through the reels, it might not come through reels.
Yes. Yes.
Because even today we put narrative comics, like we put like a proper, a
Yes.
story which has a lot of dialogues and it has a lot of content, and people like it because that is what we are good at. I
Yes.
mean, I don't want to jump into reels
That is
and
your identity
try out
also.
the. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. 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 And if suppose somebody wants to be next Leewardist, so what would you suggest them?
Uh, uh,
Like,
Actually,
oh,
Leewardist is a thought,
okay,
actually.
yeah,
So it's not a person. That's what I figured eventually, because the people who we have in the team,
yeah,
we all are Leewardists now.
okay,
So because they have responsibilities, they have a responsibility to use that format in the right way, to talk about things, to make people aware. So all of the seven people are equally responsible for doing what they feel Leewardist is. Okay, so that it's not like Leewardist is this or that. They can also come up with new ideas. They also come up with new ideas, new things, because I'm also like, I'm 33, so there are people who are 21, there are people who are 25, so definitely they have better ideas. It's just that I can mentor them and tell them that how do you take this. I cannot be like, nee, nee, your idea is not. I can mentor them and I can mold that idea. I can do that, but I cannot say that that's a bad idea.
yes, yes,
So I think if you talk about lever discs, it's the entire team is equally part of it. But if you are saying that how can people find their niche, or try to do something which they love doing, and how can they take it forward, I think it can either start from the architecture school, because if they are aware about that, you can spend people don't students don't spend time with themselves, they spend time
correct,
doing things for others.
yes, yes,
So they never self introspect, they never question, like they never talk with themselves. So I think the most they can, the least they can do is spend time for yourself. Do a self introspection, even if you're in college or even if you're outside college, it's fine, nobody's late. There's no such thing called as late.
yes,
You have to spend time with yourself. You have to question, what am I doing? Is this like, there's a life after college also.
yes,
Like, I mean, people are very very focused that ye Friday ka submission is the most important thing in my world. It is not. It's not. It's just a small part of it which you can do. If you want to do it with like full passion and do it, enjoy it. Otherwise, don't do it if you don't understand it. So if Friday ka submission is not the important thing, you have to just enjoy. It's part of the process. Enjoy it. And when I say enjoy, it's again a very big word. People are like, "नहीं मैं enjoy नहीं कर सकता." The point is to understand, get your basics clear. Once your basics are clear about that topic, you are going to automatically get involved in that project or whatever that submission is, and you will do it irrespective of any feedback given from the professor or any method. You will create your own method. Everybody can have their own design method कि मैं ये करूँगा मैं वो करूँगा. Enjoy it, make it your own. Like खुद का होना
Yes,
चाहिए, your own baby.
yes,
So of course उसके लिए भी you need more, like you have to make people aware कि you can do this, you can do that, you can make this. But of course the college sometimes might not let that happen. But what do you want after 5 years? You might, everybody's screaming after 5 years मेरा college life ये नहीं था. You can make it better. Everybody screaming मैं internship में बहुत मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगा. You chose that
close
office.
that.
You,
Exactly.
what was your method of choosing that? If I look into that, you will understand that I
Yes,
did
yes,
something wrong.
yes. Correct. Absolutely right. Yes.
So
Then
self introspection है ही नहीं. There is no
there's
self
no sense.
introspection in college, while selecting
Yes,
office, while selecting internship, while selecting your like paths, like or steps for your future. I know nobody can gauge 5 साल के बाद क्या होने वाला है. Nobody can gauge that. I cannot even gauge 1 साल के बाद क्या होने
yes,
वाला है. But at least you can start working on things, no, today.
yes, yes, yes,
If I, that can start from self introspection. What am I doing? What is it like? Is that person teaching? Is there something problem? Can I question? Can I read something and re-question that person? So you have to get involved. That's why it's not for everybody, architecture, like doing
very
architecture.
correct.
But at the same time, even if you are in architecture by some kuch karke, like I came into architecture by papa ko dekh ke, अरे my father, I want to be like him. Why did I join architecture? Because I saw him drawing perspectives of buildings. When he was practicing, he used to make his own perspectives.
Mm,
And I'm like, yeah, architecture. This is architecture. Yes, I want to do this, which is very shallow. But then I like that perspective part of architecture,
yes,
which is okay.
yes,
I can work on that, and I worked on that, like that presentation part of it. So even if you are in the profession, it's not, like I said, it's not a bad course. People who are running it are doing it in the wrong way. It's a beautiful course. Everybody can find their niche in some other way. And today it is the world where you can fuse, you can find a small thing in architecture, and that can also be your passion.